So the next thing we're going to look at is neutralisation. So we know that hydrogens have got lots of H plus ions in them. Bases produce OH minus ions. But what happens if we try and mix an acid and a base together? Well, that's when we get neutralisation. This is page 149 in your SciPad. So neutralisation means that the acid and the base become a neutral substance. So if you were to mix them together, they would then produce a green colour on the pH scale. Okay? So if we were to get some H plus and mix it with some OH minus in a beaker, they would eventually, all your H pluses and your OH minuses would join up. So that H plus, OH minus, they'd come together. Okay, now imagine this happening lots and lots and lots of times. You would end up with an H, an H and an O. You'd end up with water. And we know that that's neutral, don't we? Because we just saw it go green with the universal indicator. So you will get an exam question, and this is pretty much guaranteed. 9 out of 10 times this will be asked. You'll be asked a question, what would you observe if you had some acid or some, I'm going to choose acid to be in the beaker, okay? If you had a beaker full of acid, so we know that that's just going to be H plus, H plus, H plus, H plus. What would you observe if you were to pour gradually some OH minus into that beaker? And what you're going to talk about is, what's it like at the start? What's it like when you start adding it? What's it like when they're in equal quantities? And then what happens if you keep pouring the OH minus in? So to start with, we've got only H pluses. So we know that it's acidic. It's probably going to be pH 1 to 3, and it's going to appear red. If I pour a little bit of OH minus in here now, what's going to happen? So let's just say this could be sodium hydroxide. So I'm going to pour some sodium hydroxide in with our acid. Now those OH minuses are going to start taking these H pluses out of solution because they're going to form water. So if they form water, they're no longer going to make it acidic. So every time you add more OH, it's going to take some of these H pluses away. So if you add a little bit, it's going to take some of the H pluses away, but not all of them. So let's just say after a little pour, it's still going to be acidic, but less, so slightly. And it might be pH 4 to 6. And we could say now it's like orange or yellow. Now if we then added a little bit more OH minus, and it got to the point where we'd pretty much cancelled out all the H pluses with an OH minus, so we'd made just water with all the OH minuses coming together with the H pluses, then we would get to a point where the solution is neutral. It would be pH 7 and it would be green. But what happened if we just still had some OH minus here, some sodium hydroxide, and we kept pouring it in? Well, there's no H pluses left now for that OH minus to bond with. So the OH minuses are just going to be left sort of mulling around, looking for a little partner, looking for an H plus, but there aren't going to be any. So what are we going to observe? Well, what we're going to observe now is it's going to be slightly basic or slightly alkaline, because there's more OH minuses than there are H pluses. So the pH now might be pH 8 to 10, and it's going to appear to be maybe turquoisey blue. And then it would ask you even further, what about if you just kept tipping it in? Well, then it would be very alkaline, pH 10 to 14, and almost purple. So in this exam question, what you're going to have to talk about is it acidic? You're going to have to talk about the pH. You're going to talk about the colour that it appears in the universal indicator. But one more thing you're going to have to talk about is you're going to have to talk about the relative concentrations of your OH minus or your H plus ions. So by that I mean in situation number 1, there's lots of H plus. In situation number 2, there was still some H plus. In situation number 3, no H pluses or OH minuses because they'd all cancelled each other out. In situation number 4, you've now got an excess of OH minus. That means you've got more OH minuses and no more H pluses to bond with, so that makes it alkaline.